Hello, future teachers of the Philippines. Welcome to this general education review session designed to help you ace the licensure examination for teachers. I'm teacher Roslyn, and I'll be your facilitator today. We know that the LET covers a broad range of topics, and the general education section is crucial for demonstrating your foundational knowledge across various disciplines. This session is all about practice, reinforcement, and clarifying any areas where you might need a little extra support. We have a set of 50 multiple-choice questions covering areas like Philippine government and constitution, basic mathematics, Philippine history, literature, both Filipino and world, general science, and world geography. Remember, the goal here isn't just to get the right answers, but to understand why the correct answer is right and why the other options are not. This deeper understanding will be invaluable on exam day. So, let's get started. We'll go through each question one by one. I encourage you to actively think about each option before we reveal the answer and the explanation. Feel free to jot down your initial thoughts. Are we all ready to begin this journey towards your licensure? Excellent! Let's dive into our first question.
1. Which of the following best exemplifies a systemic approach to solving the persistent problem of traffic congestion in a major metropolitan area? A. Implementing stricter penalties for traffic violations. B. Constructing more elevated highways and underpasses. C. Developing a comprehensive urban plan that integrates land use, public transportation, and infrastructure development. D. Increasing the number of traffic enforcers during peak hours.
Answer: C. Developing a comprehensive urban plan that integrates land use, public transportation, and infrastructure development. A systemic approach addresses a problem by considering all its interconnected components. Option C offers a holistic solution by integrating land use, public transportation, and infrastructure development, which are all root causes of traffic congestion. In contrast, options A and D are limited enforcement measures, and option B is a singular infrastructure fix that doesn't consider the broader urban planning context. 2. If the statement, "all philosophers are thinkers," is true, which of the following conclusions can be logically derived? A. All thinkers are philosophers. B. Some thinkers are philosophers. C. No thinkers are philosophers. D. Some philosophers are not thinkers. Answer: B. Some thinkers are philosophers. If "all philosophers are thinkers" is true, it means that the group of philosophers is entirely contained within the larger group of thinkers. Therefore, it logically follows that there exist thinkers who are also philosophers. Options A. All thinkers are philosophers is false because there are many types of thinkers who are not philosophers. Options C and D directly contradict the initial true statement. 3. Consider a scenario where a local government prioritizes economic growth by attracting foreign investments, even if it means potentially compromising certain environmental regulations. This decision reflects which ethical framework? A. Deontology. B. Utilitarianism. C. Virtue ethics. D. Existentialism. Answer: B. Utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is an ethical framework that aims to maximize overall happiness or well-being for the greatest number of people. In this scenario, the government's decision prioritizes potential economic benefits for a larger segment of society, even at the cost of environmental harm, aligning with the utilitarian principle of achieving the greatest good for the majority. Deontology focuses on duties, virtue ethics on character, and existentialism on individual freedom, none of which primarily justify a decision based on maximizing collective benefit.
4. Which of the following historical events had the most significant long-term impact on the development of democratic ideals globally? A. The French Revolution. B. The invention of the printing press. C. The fall of the Roman Empire. D. The Voyages of Christopher Columbus. Answer: A. The French Revolution. The French Revolution, with its powerful ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, profoundly influenced the spread of democratic thought and inspired subsequent democratic movements and revolutions across the globe for centuries. While the other events were historically significant, they did not have the same direct and far-reaching ideological impact on the development of democratic ideals worldwide. 5. A researcher observes that students who spend more time studying tend to achieve higher grades. However, they also notice that students involved in extracurricular activities also tend to have higher grades. What is the most likely confounding variable in this observation? A. The student's study habits. B. The student's academic performance. C. The student's level of motivation and time management skills. D. The types of extracurricular activities the students are involved in. Answer: C. The student's level of motivation and time management skills. A confounding variable is an unmeasured factor that influences both the observed cause, studying, extracurriculars, and effect, higher grades, creating a misleading correlation. In this case, students with high motivation and excellent time management skills are likely to both study more and participate in extracurriculars, which in turn leads to higher grades, thus confounding the direct relationship between studying, extracurriculars and grades. Study habits and academic performance are directly observed variables, not confounding ones.
Question: if a literary work employs the use of an inanimate object to represent a complex abstract idea, which literary device is being used? A. Metaphor. B. Simile. C. Symbolism. D. Personification. Answer: C. Symbolism. Symbolism is the use of objects, animate or inanimate, people, or ideas to represent something else, often a deeper or more abstract concept. When an inanimate object stands for a complex abstract idea, it is functioning as a symbol. Metaphor and simile are direct comparisons, while personification gives human qualities to non-human entities, none of which primarily involve representing abstract ideas through objects.
7. In the realm of art, which movement is characterized by its focus on subjective experiences, emotional intensity, and the individual's inner world? A. Realism. B. Impressionism. C. Surrealism. D. Expressionism. Answer: D. Expressionism. Expressionism, an early 20th century art movement, emphasized conveying the artist's subjective feelings and inner emotional world rather than objective reality. This was often achieved through the use of bold colors, distorted forms, and strong emotional themes. Realism focuses on depicting reality, Impressionism on light and fleeting moments, and Surrealism on subconscious dreams, none of which primarily emphasize raw emotional intensity and subjective experience in the same way as Expressionism.
8. Which of the following economic policies is most likely to lead to increased government spending and potential budget deficits? A. Implementing austerity measures and reducing public services. B. Lowering taxes while increasing investment in infrastructure projects. C. Raising interest rates to control inflation. D. Deregulating industries to stimulate private sector growth. Answer: B. Lowering taxes while increasing investment in infrastructure projects. This option simultaneously reduces government revenue by lowering taxes and increases its expenditures by investing in infrastructure. This combination directly leads to a greater likelihood of the government spending more than it collects in revenue, resulting in increased government spending and potential budget deficits. Austerity measures aim to reduce spending, And raising interest rates or deregulating industries primarily affect monetary policy or private sector, not direct government spending increases. 9. The concept of checks and balances in a democratic government is primarily designed to a. Ensure efficient governance and quick decision-making. b. Prevent any single branch of government from becoming too powerful. c. Promote greater citizen participation in political processes. d. Establish a clear hierarchy and division of labor among government agencies. Answer. B. Prevent any single branch of government from becoming too powerful. Checks and balances are a fundamental principle of democratic governance that distributes powers among the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. Its primary purpose is to allow each branch to limit the powers of the others, thereby preventing the concentration of power in any one branch and safeguarding against tyranny. While it involves a division of labor, its core aim is power limitation, not just efficiency or citizen participation.
10. Which of the following scientific advancements had the most profound impact on our understanding of heredity? A. The invention of the microscope. B. The development of the periodic table of elements. C. The discovery of the structure of DNA. D. The formulation of the theory of general relativity. Answer. C. The discovery of the structure of DNA. The discovery of the double helix structure of DNA by Watson and Crick in 1953 revolutionized biology. It provided the molecular foundation for understanding how genetic information is stored, replicated, and transmitted from one generation to the next, directly explaining the mechanisms of heredity. While microscopes are vital tools and the periodic table is fundamental to chemistry, and general relativity to physics, DNA's structure specifically unlocked the secrets of inheritance. Question 11. What is the primary function of the ozone layer in Earth's atmosphere? A. To regulate global temperature through the greenhouse effect. B. To provide the air we breathe. C. To absorb most of the harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun. D. To create weather patterns and precipitation. Answer. C. To absorb most of the harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun. The ozone layer, located in the stratosphere, acts as a natural shield, absorbing a significant portion of the sun's harmful ultraviolet (UV) radiation before it reaches the Earth's surface. This protection is crucial for life on Earth. Regulating temperature, A, is primarily done by greenhouse gases, providing breathable air, B, is mostly oxygen, and creating weather patterns, D, happens in the lower atmosphere, troposphere. Question 12. If a country's gross domestic product, GDP, grows at a rate of 3% and its population grows at a rate of 2%, what can be inferred about the per capita GDP? A. The per capita GDP will decrease by 1%. B. The per capita GDP will increase by approximately 1%. C. The per capita GDP will remain unchanged. D. The per capita GDP will increase by 5%. Answer. B. The per capita GDP will increase by approximately 1%. Per capita GDP is calculated by dividing the total GDP by the population. If the economic output, GDP, grows at a faster rate, 3%, than the increase in the number of people, population growth at 2%, then the average economic output per person, per capita GDP, will increase. The approximate increase is the difference between the two growth rates. Question 13. Which of the following scenarios best illustrates the concept of opportunity cost? A. A student buys a new textbook for a subject they find challenging. B. A government invests in renewable energy despite its higher initial cost. C. A person chooses to spend their evening studying instead of going to a movie. D. A company increases its production to meet rising consumer demand. Answer: C. A person chooses to spend their evening studying instead of going to a movie. Opportunity cost refers to the value of the next best alternative that must be given up when a choice is made. In this scenario, by choosing to study, the person gives up the enjoyment and experience of watching a movie. The movie represents the foregone opportunity, making it the opportunity cost of studying. The other options describe spending or investment choices but do not explicitly highlight the value of what was directly sacrificed.
Question 14. In the context of social psychology, what is the fundamental attribution error? A. The tendency to overestimate the influence of situational factors on one's own behavior. B. The tendency to underestimate the influence of dispositional factors on others' behavior. C. The tendency to overestimate the influence of dispositional factors on others' behavior while underestimating situational factors. D. The tendency to attribute one's successes to external factors and failures to internal factors. Answer: C. The tendency to overestimate the influence of dispositional factors on others' behavior while underestimating situational factors. The fundamental attribution error is a common cognitive bias where people tend to overemphasize internal, personal characteristics, dispositional factors like personality traits or abilities, and underestimate the role of external, environmental influences, situational factors, when explaining other people's behavior. For example, if someone trips, we might think they are clumsy, dispositional, rather than considering the uneven pavement, situational. Question 15. Which of the following is a primary characteristic of a market economy? A. Centralized government planning of production and distribution. B. Private ownership of resources and the means of production. C. Emphasis on traditional customs and practices in economic decision-making. D. Equal distribution of wealth and income among all citizens. Answer: B. Private ownership of resources and the means of production. A market economy is primarily characterized by individual and private ownership of resources, businesses, and the means of production. Economic decisions about what to produce, how much, and for whom are largely driven by supply and demand in competitive markets, with limited government intervention. Centralized planning, A. Describes a command economy, traditional customs, C. A traditional economy, and equal distribution, D. Is an ideal often associated with different economic systems, not a defining characteristic of a market economy. Question 16. If a solution has a pH of 3, it is considered A. Strongly basic, B. Weakly basic, C. Neutral, D. Acidic. Answer: D. Acidic. The pH scale measures the acidity or alkalinity of a solution, ranging from 0 to 14. A pH of 7 is neutral. Values below 7 indicate acidity, with lower numbers, e.g., 0 to 3, being more strongly acidic, and values above 7 indicate basicity. Therefore, a solution with a pH of 3 is acidic. Question 17. Which of the following literary genres typically features elements of magic, mythical creatures, and settings that defy the natural world? A. Historical fiction. B. Science fiction. C. Fantasy. D. Realism. Answer: C. Fantasy. Fantasy is a genre of speculative fiction that is distinguished by its use of magic, supernatural elements, mythical creatures, and often takes place in fictional worlds that operate under different rules than our own natural world. Historical fiction is based on real historical events, science fiction explores futuristic technology and scientific concepts, and realism aims to depict life as it is without supernatural elements.
Question 18. The concept of cultural relativism suggests that A. All cultures are equally valid and should be understood on their own terms. B. There is a universal standard of morality that applies to all cultures. C. Western cultures are inherently more developed than non-Western cultures. D. Individuals should strictly adhere to the norms and values of their own culture. Answer: A. All cultures are equally valid and should be understood on their own terms. Cultural relativism is the principle that an individual's beliefs, values, and practices should be understood and interpreted within the context of their own culture, without imposing the standards or judgments of another culture. It emphasizes that no culture is inherently superior or inferior. Option B describes cultural universalism, while C is ethnocentric. Option D describes adherence within a culture, not the understanding of diverse cultures.
19. Which of the following is a key principle of the social contract theory as proposed by philosophers like Locke and Rousseau? A. The divine right of kings to rule. B. The absolute power of the state over individual citizens. C. The idea that government legitimacy comes from the consent of the governed. D. The inherent inequality among different social classes. Answer: C. The idea that government legitimacy comes from the consent of the governed. Social contract theory posits that individuals voluntarily surrender some of their natural freedoms and rights to a government in exchange for protection of their remaining rights and the maintenance of social order. Therefore, the legitimacy and authority of the government derive from the consent and agreement of the people it governs. The divine right of kings, A, is an opposing concept, and absolute state power, B, or inherent inequality, D, contradict the core tenets of consensual governance. Question 20. What is the primary goal of sustainable development? A. To prioritize economic growth above all else. B. To meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. C. To strictly limit human impact on the environment, regardless of social or economic consequences. D. To return to a pre-industrial state of human society. Answer: B. To meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The most widely accepted definition of sustainable development emphasizes a balanced approach to progress. It aims to achieve economic development and social equity while simultaneously protecting the environment, ensuring that current human needs are met without depleting resources or damaging the planet in a way that would hinder future generations from meeting their own needs. Prioritizing only economic growth or strict environmental limits without considering social needs contradicts this balanced approach.
Question 21. Solve for x. 2x minus 1 divided by 3 equals 5. A. 8. B. 10. C. 16. D. 22. Answer: A. 8. To solve the equation 2x 1/3 equals 5, first eliminate the fraction by multiplying the entire equation by 3 to 3 asterisk, 2x 1/3 equals 3 asterisk 5, which simplifies to 6x1 equals 15. Next, add 1 to both sides, 6x equals 16. Finally, divide both sides by 6. X equals 16/6 equals 8/3. However, if the question meant 2 by minus 1, 3 equals 5, then multiply both sides by 3 to 2x1 equals 15. Add 1 to both sides, 2x equals 16. Divide by 2, x equals 8. Based on the options, the latter interpretation is intended. Question 22. What is the value of 5 to the power of 3 times 5 divided by 5 to the power of 2? A. 1. B. 5. C. 25. D. 125. Answer A. 1. Using the rules of exponents, when multiplying powers with the same base, you add the exponents, a caret m asterisk a caret n equals a caret m plus n. So, 5 to the power of 3 times 5 equals 5 caret 3 plus minus 1 equals 5 to the power of 2. When dividing powers with the same base, you subtract the exponents, a caret m, a caret n equals a caret mn. So, 5 to the power of 2 divided by 5 to the power of 2 equals 5 caret 2 to 2 equals 5 to the power of 0. Any non-zero number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Question 23. If a rectangle has a length of 12 centimeters and a width of 8 centimeters, what is the length of its diagonal? A. 4 square root 13 centimeters. B. 10 centimeters. C. 20 centimeters. D. 96 centimeters. Answer A. 4 square root 13 centimeters. The diagonal of a rectangle forms the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle, with the length and width as its two legs. According to the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a and b are the sides and c is the hypotenuse diagonal. So 12 to the power of 2 plus 8 to the power of 2 equals c squared. This gives 144 plus 64 equals 208 equals c squared. Taking the square root of 208, we simplify it as square root 16 times 13 equals square root 16 times square root 13 equals 4 square root 13 centimeters.